since then, we've left the name Tama on the seedlings just to tie it in with the parent plant. This is Tama Vino, kind of a burgundy look to it. Flower to flower, you get some flowers that will come solid, but by and large, they'll come with nice borders like this. The one that drives us crazy is one called Tama Electric. It's the bright, bright red. And you may go 3 years and just see bright red flowers and no more. And people say, what am I doing wrong? Well, it just doesn't. You're not doing nothing wrong. And even in fact, we took some cuttings off of the branches that had the big border, and they still do what they want to do. So some are very unpredictable like that. But they do give us some wonderful borders. The flaw of the Tamandora, even the original plant, it does not bud up as a young plant. It's got to get some vintage before it does anything. Anyway, so for Tamandora, and there's another one that this one is already belongs to somebody else. This was on your raffle, but again, save the seeds. Whoever gets this one, save the seeds. We'll have some fun with this one here. So, anyway, so this is Merry Christmas, the only one without the Tama name. And this one I'll put back where it belongs. So oh, yeah, there. One more that belongs here. Oh, okay. I know what it is. Okay. What's neat about these guys here, not everybody's yard is big enough for your standard camellias. And these are two wonderful, now these are real dwarfs. This is called jewel boxing. Slow growth. This has got to be as old as, it's older than some of those 5 gallons over there. This one here is called dwarf shishi. This was developed by Tochimoto in Hayward. He didn't name it. He said, what did I put a name on it? This is a seedling of Shishigashira. It's kind of interesting. A lot of seedlings of Shishigashira grow straight like an arrow, straight and fast enough. And in fact, I'm not so sure that Dazzler is not a Shishigashira seedling. But anyway, one of the Tochi seedlings came very, very dwarf. And they called it dwarf shishi. Wonderful type compact. We're not going to go to propagate. We should have a ton of these to sell. You can have just a handful. And you haven't done a good job on propagating. But wonderful, compact dwarf camellias. Big difference. And the Rumigata grows, 6 to 10 foot tall. And this one here, if you got a 3 foot plant of this one, would be a big jewel box. Anyway, jewel box and then dwarf shishi. This one.
Did you prune them?
Pardon me?
Did you prune it?
Not really. I mean, we're taking some cuttings. We pruned by accident, like taking some cuttings. Something like this, I would knock it off. I mean, that's the kind of very little pruning. I mean, they basically grow like this with a little bit of additional nip here and there. Now, it's kind of interesting. On one of these here, I don't think it's going to be fully growing. We have one branch, like normal, slow, like normal. It's nice and white, and the rest of the plant's down like this. And so it makes me wonder if this is the original natural sport, or if the sport came afterwards, or the original came afterwards. We have a branch on a jewel box. Nice and upright. Yeah. I mean, I don't think we're going to go up because it's not quite, it's compact, but it's not as good as the original. That's simple. Anyway. Okay. Finally, lots of features over here. A lot of species, a couple of species of wild forms. This is called Camellia cuspidata. And there's been some nice hybrids that have come from this. The hybrids haven't been as early blooming as the original. Nice, single white flower. Very profuse. These are the sasanqua. They usually require some shade. A couple of years by accident, we had a couple of great big plants, 20 gallon containers. Really big camellias. I just happened to walk by this cuspidata at the right sun angle, and the sun was behind it. And most camellias, I wouldn't rave about most camellias, how nicely they backlight. Because most camellias have pretty thick petals, so the light is not, it doesn't come through as easy. This is a thin petal camellia, This backlight's absolutely beautiful. Whoever does this, someone will have to put this somewhere, or some part of the sun will be able to come from behind, doing the back, whether it's the back or this is the back. And I just happened to notice that on a pure accident, because I was here, the plant was there, the sun was setting over there, and whoa, I couldn't believe it. But anyway, so really pretty. With the wild Camellia, I have to say that every wild plant is a commercial. Every wild plant is a horticultural. So someone's kind of goofy looking, or anyway, this is a nice one. This is a wild plant. It's a nice horticultural. So anyway, let's put out. Okay. Can you kiss or kiss eye? Kind of nice creamy white. This has a nice scent to it, although I'm not, you might want to stay with this. I'm not getting on it. It's bright, it'll smell like, you remember the frosted animal crackers? Anyway, usually too, when you plant seeds of species, wild ones, they're going to come pretty much the same. You're planting hundreds of seeds this way, they come pretty much like you see them. But every now and then you get a hybrid. A good example of one of the hybrids of this one here is buttermint. I don't make a buttermint plant, but I didn't have any flowers. Many plants have open flowers on it. But buttermint is a double flower. We think it's a kiss eye. The seed came out of the kiss eye seeds, and it was a double flower. And nice creamy, very almost a pale yellow to creamy white. And you can see the yellowish hint. There's a tint of not pure white in this here. Very pretty Camellia. And this one says a seed that's kind of unusual. Most Camellia seed pods, the pod flesh will be right attached to the seed. There's kind of an air gap in these here. You can almost pop the seed open by pushing the top and the bottom, and you can pop the seed open. It's kind of odd for whatever reason, you know. But anyway, so kiss eye with kiss eye. And apparently this is, you see maps of distribution of wild Camellias in China. This has a very wide distribution. Okay. I had a chance today to see one of the biggest, this is called Camellia, and it's from Hong Kong. Apparently when they first discovered it, they only found one plant. I think there's been a couple of plants discovered since, so it's kind of rare in the wild. It was named for the then governor of Hong Kong at the time, Grantham. Interesting to me. These are good buds. I mean, you're just going to drive them the whole way. See that rusty bud there? That is a good bud. And you see the backside where the flowers open up and see the rusty calyx. It's just an unusual Camellia, kind of an ivory white. My dad thought at one time that this would be the appropriate put yellow into Camellias with hybridization. Since then, chrysanthemum, which is yellow, has come about, yellow. But it always blooms early. We've got some interesting hybrids, and there's been some interesting hybridizing done for the spring there. With japonicas, for whatever reason, across with japonicas, you get some flowers that will be kind of yellowish in the middle. They'll be like stamenless stamens. No pistil. They're kind of like dead ends as far as hybridizing, because you can't do anything with them as far as hybridizing. But they'll be very creamy or yellowish in the middle. And not stamens, just the anther, just the pistil. I mean, just the filaments, in other words. With particularity, there's some nice pinks, like China lady, Shanghai, or Grantham hybrids. And to an extent, you can read the cross. A lot of the hybrids will have this rusty bud, but to a lesser extent, you can see where they're planted up. Very, very good foliage. Anyway, at the Santa Cruz City Hall, I had a delivery today to San Lorenzo Garden Center in Santa Cruz. One of the ladies said, I want you to see this Camellia. And we can't figure out what they're trying to identify some Camellias at the City Hall there. And it was one of the nicest, biggest Granthamias I've ever seen. It's on the north side of the complex. What was neat about it, though, the ground, these flowers fall in one piece, and it looked like a bunch of white tarantulas all over the ground. That was pretty as the plant. The Granthania is really interesting. And, anyway,
it's a big puff of spider
exactly. And that's what it looked like on the ground. It was actually a big tarantula. Anyway, so it's very interesting camellia. And the fact that it's kind of rare in the wild, there's much of it. Then I brought a couple of things in here. This is called Camellia puniciflora. We have two forms. We have a lighter pink form and this pink form, a pink form. Tiny, 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 little tiny flower. A lot of the wild camellias, especially the small ones, tend to be white. This is one of the ones that's got some color to it. Real tiny flower. But we're finding what's interesting about puniciflora. We're getting what we think are puniciflora hybrids. Here's one we're not too sure, we're not positive it's a puniciflora hybrid. We think it is. We think this is not pure sasanqua. It's a seedling. But we're getting a lot of some of these. Some of the seedlings that we take from this, the Ignore puniciflora seedlings, we can tell they're not straight puniciflora. There are sasanqua hybrids. They tend to have these intermediate flowers that are smaller than most sasanquas, bigger than this one here. Some look like the rumigata apple blossom with a border. But I think this plant is trying to give us something just by nature. We're not doing a lot of hybridizing with it, but I think we're going to get some nice, interesting hybrids from this. Have you tried any hybridizing with this?
Yeah.
Good.
I have a bunch of seedlings.
Oh, good. Because I think it's going. I think it's got a lot of potential.
How do you spell that one?
Well, puniciflora, P-U-N. I'll better look at it. Puniciflora. These are cutting letters. Anyway, some interesting stuff. And we got what's fun about this time of year, we get a lot of good community to come. The big show flowers we get to come, but there's just some wonderful stuff we can use, have in the gardens. That there's some nice. The season. For me, the scent of sasanquas is always one of those things that, it's time for the seasons to start. So sasanquas are absolutely wonderful. Some nice azaleas, a few things that are not sasanquas, but I think there's just a lot of interesting stuff you can use in your gardens and enjoy.
What can take up in water shape?
Probably the best, if you have a spot, I don't know if this is